Hello, and welcome to Leadership Table Talk, a show designed to help you develop and improve your leadership skills and talents. I'm your host, Dr. Mary Gillam. In case this is your first time watching the show, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a retired Air Force colonel and former member of the Senior Executive Service Corps with the Department of Defense at the Pentagon. I'm also a #1 Amazon bestselling author and the owner of M2G Dynamic Leadership Solutions. Today, I want to focus on the topic, leveraging the strength of women leaders in science, technology, engineering, and math, or commonly referred to as STEM. To discuss this topic with me, I have a mother and daughter team. They are Miss Jessica Spencer-Gallucci, who is the director of the Air Force Departmental Publishing Office, and her daughter, Miss Francesca Vasquez, who is a group vice president with Oracle. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's just begin by telling our audience a little bit about your backgrounds. Jessica?
I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana,
Yes.
and I have 4 children. I have 3 girls and 1 son. I'm a graduate from University of Maryland and art history major.
Yes.
I also have an MPA in public administration, and I'm a Library of Science degree, Master's of Library of Science. I've held several jobs. I worked John Hancock Insurance Company. I've worked for the University of Maryland. But for the most part, I've been with the federal government.
Yes.
I've been with the Department of the Air Force for quite a few years, and currently I'm the director of the Air Force Departmental Publishing Office. And in that job, I had an opportunity to work quite often with the STEM.
Yes.
I've had an opportunity in working with the government as a manager of a career program that recruited information technology specialists.
Yes.
So
I remember that.
I'm very, I consider myself quite knowledgeable in that area,
Yes.
and I really do enjoy that part of the management and leadership part of recruiting.
Absolutely. Francesca?
Well, I've been in the IT industry professionally for the past 15 years, Dr. Gillam, and I graduated from Lynchburg College with a degree in computer science, and I also have a master's in public policy from George Mason University. And I think, my background is really deeply rooted in my military background. My family was a military family, and a family full of educators.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the values that the military instills in you, being able to move around, experience different cultures, has really influenced, my career decision in going into a STEM-based field around information technology. And I am very passionate about STEM. I believe that science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math are really part of the future. And I think there are so many fantastic opportunities for our young men and women to explore in STEM-based fields.
Oh, that's wonderful, Francesca. So, ladies, since this show does focus on leadership, let me just ask you, what would you consider leadership to be? What is your definition of leadership?
And that question comes up a lot, and there are lots of different definitions, perspective, but being a leader, I view the leadership part as, first of all, taking care of your people,
Yes.
the people that work for you. I think it has a lot to do with trust, gaining the trust of individuals, the mentoring and teaching individuals, giving them advice and direction, but probably most importantly is gaining the trust from employees that will allow them to join you or become a part of the team and want the same vision and the goals of the organization. And that's quite a challenge. But I think being a good leader, gaining their trust and being resilient, understanding that, not things are going to be okay all the time, but that resilient part and that collaboration and that trust and building that teamwork and letting employees understand that you are listening to them. You're a good communicator and you listen and you take their ideas.
Jessica, that was wonderfully said. Francesca, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that my mom highlighted. You know, I think leadership is purposeful.
Yes.
And it's about inspiring a vision. It's about mobilizing people and a team around that common shared vision. And I agree, I think one of the most important elements of leadership is really around trust and integrity.
Yes.
And retired General Colin Powell once said that good leadership encourages everyone's evolution. And I'm a firm believer of that, is that when you're effective and good as a leader, it really is about the team.
Yes,
it's the vision and mission of the team.
Yes, absolutely. So let's focus a little bit more on STEM. And so I just want to ask, what does it take to be an effective leader, especially a female, in the STEM areas?
My experience has been as a leader in having quite a few information technology specialists report to me. You have to be flexible and you have to listen. You have to allow individuals to be creative and listen to their ideas and accept some of the things that they bring to the table. I think in being a good leader in that field, really the key is that flexibility and that listening and allowing them to demonstrate what they see to add value to the organization.
Yes,
and I think those things are important because the more that you do that, the more creative they come, the more ideas that they have, and then you can also understand what they would like to do, the growth. And so you have several areas in that area. You have those individuals trying to get into the field, and then you have those individuals that's already in the field. So you have to approach things very differently.
Yes,
when you, as far as the STEM piece, you have to approach it from their perspective based on where they are at that point. But that listening and that communicating and allow them to express themselves and that creativity, I think you have to be open to that as a leader. And you have to change ideas from the old traditional way of thinking, I think, and become more of a transition type leader as to the changing environment.
Yes, that's wonderfully said, Jessica. So Francesca, having a lot of experience now in leadership roles in the field, what would you say are some of the things that you find valuable as a leader, a female leader in technology?
Well, I think several things. First, the technology is changing and rapidly growing. There's so many different ways to introduce new technologies, whether that be social or mobile, digital. There's all these different drivers. So I think that your style of leadership has to really respond to that. I think there's an emphasis right now around more collaboration, more transparency, driving innovation, as my mom talked about, fresh ideas. That to me is what is effective now. As being a leader within STEM-based careers. You know, I also think that you have to be willing to take risk and try new things and be agile and nimble. This technology era is disrupting industries, it's creating cultures of digital natives, and you really have to be able to be flexible, to be agile, and respond to those changes.
Oh, that is wonderful. So let me ask you, Francesca, what inspired you to go into computer science?
Well, I think the best answer I could possibly give is my mother. She was really the key champion, and it all started with the vision. And at that time, she saw that the industry in the future was really going around technology and science, and she gave me the nudge to pursue that particular field. Now what's interesting is when I joined in the field, I had this great love and passion for both science and solving problems, and I had a curious mind, but I also had an appreciation for the arts and foreign languages. And what the field has really been able to offer me is a chance to marry both of those worlds and really try new things in the field of information technology.
Oh, that is wonderful. So I did have a question later on, but I think I will ask that right now. Jessica, as the parent of two young ladies who not only went into engineering and computer science, what advice would you give a parent today to encourage their children to go into the STEM like you did with your daughters?
Well, I think a lot of it is just paying attention to your children. You get to know them.
Yes.
They all have different skills, and once you see which direction you're going, then you can make a decision.
Yes.
And in this case, if you observe the math and the science, that strong skill, then maybe you encourage them to take those challenging classes. Encourage them that, you might not make it that first time, but just because you didn't get a really good grade this time, take it again. Jump in there and take it again. So I would encourage them to pay attention and encourage their children to explore new ideas, explore those challenging courses that they're taking. Or if you're already out of school, still stay on top of technology.
Yes, absolutely. I would say that the other day I was at the gym and I was talking to a young guy from Louisiana, and what was interesting for me was that this young man, probably about the 10th grade, and he was not familiar with STEM, and so I had to encourage him and inspire him and talk to him about that, because I was like, you're not familiar with STEM. And so having a science and technology background myself, I said, no, let me just sit here and let's go over some things. And then I told his mom, it was actually his stepmom, about it, and so that would probably be something that he would want to pursue, because he had a love for the math and love for engineering. And I was like, you are what they're looking for. So I was very excited about that and to share that with him. Well, ladies, it looks like we're coming up on our first break, and so please stay tuned and we will be back with you shortly. Thank you.
Every day, computers help our lives and businesses run smoothly. And every day, they're potential targets. Viruses, spyware, and scams are relentlessly being updated, making it easier for hackers and thieves to steal information and control your computer. Protect yourself. Get in the habit of keeping your cybersecurity up to date. Learn how at StaySafeOnline.org today.
Welcome back to the show, Leadership Table Talk. Our guests today are discussing the topic STEM, and so we will continue with that. And so, ladies, let me just ask you this particular question. And so I want to focus this to you, Jessica. Having spent many years in the telecommunications and information systems career field myself, I was surprised to learn that women still comprise only 30% of this particular workforce. And so I just wanted to ask you, given your experiences and so forth, why do you think women sometimes shy away from going into this particular career field or this discipline?
I think mainly because in the past it's been well known that equal pay was an issue.
Yes.
It's a predominantly male field. Authority, control, leadership, predominantly in this field for men. So I think that that's part of the reason why women in that area might shy away, because of the perception of the demands.
Yes.
But I do think things are changing. Mm-hmm. I think women are finding their space in this, in this field, because things have changed as far as how they can balance,
yes,
how they can do the balance with,
yes,
with life and work and family. And there's this perception now with lots of policies changing that will also change maybe a little bit more equal pay. So I think women will move more in that direction now, because the environment is getting better. It'll take time. Not saying that we're there yet, but I do think there's hope that women will pursue the science and technology area more in the future, based on things that are changing, based on policies that are changing, based on benefits that will be available, and this whole concept of women, the ability to lead.
Yes.
They're demonstrating they have it. There are quite a few out there leading that path. So I think we will see more of that, and a lot of it is just education, training, making companies, organizations aware, and putting those programs into place, that bringing in that diversity and inclusion. I think that those are things that will have more women to move forward in that space of technology.
That is good. So I was going to ask about the glass ceiling that you and I are very familiar with from, about the same age here. Yes. And so, but I know today that there are a lot of things that have occurred, like you said, in terms of moving women forward, especially our young lady here today, who is a group vice president. So, Ms. Francesca, tell us just a little bit more about your background, because I know you have a very extensive background, especially in areas of leadership and being in the science and technology area. So can you just elaborate a little bit more about that?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, I've been in the industry for about 15 years, and I've been very fortunate to have great mentors. So, one of the things about being a leader is being able to follow and to lead. And I've had phenomenal mentors, both men and women, who've provided great encouragement. I think the other thing in terms of being a leader in a STEM-based career is taking new risk and trying new things. And my background formally was computer science, but I never shied away from understanding the business. I never shied away from understanding finance and operation models. And so you really want to have diversity in those opportunities and expose yourself to quite a bit. Probably the best experience that I ever had is when I took a position where I had an opportunity to work abroad. And a lot of the organizations, even the agencies that you deal with now, they're global. They have different economic pressures and conditions. And so being able to find mentors that can help you along the way, raising your hand for new challenging opportunities have all been very impactful in my own personal journey.
Can you talk a little bit more about your experience abroad?
Yes. So my first assignment abroad was in Europe. And you never know at the time how fortunate and impactful that experience is until you look back in hindsight. And the one thing that I learned is that we live in a world where it's not just America driving STEM innovation. A lot of the other countries that we partner with, that we support, that are customers of ours, we have relationships with, they all are ingrained into this phenomenal industry. And so studying abroad, I learned about some of the innovations that were coming out of Europe. I've learned about innovations that are coming out of places like Singapore and Asia. And they all help propel where this next generation is going. A lot of people have modern day cell phones and mobile. You'd be surprised that overseas in Asia and countries like Africa, the adoption for mobile is helping bridge the gap. So it's very fascinating to have just a broader perspective of STEM across the globe.
Oh, that is wonderful. You said some really great things that I think any young person listening to this particular show should keep in mind, is that even though you had a technology background, you did not shy away from learning about those kinds of things that really enhance business, the operation side, the financial side, and so forth. Because I would say today that before any person graduate from college, if they are growing up or coming up in the technical areas, they should still be required to take some business related classes. And so I think that is very important. So let me just ask you guys this. You mentioned mentors. And you had both male and female. Are there mentors, especially you, Jessica, because I know you came up in a different era. Did you have mentors that helped you, that guided you through your Air Force career? Because especially now that you're serving as the director for the Air Force Publishing Office, because I know that, having known you a long time, that you've had some really great jobs and so forth. So can you talk about the importance of mentoring from that perspective?
Yes, mentoring is very important. It was crucial, I think, in my career advancement. I had several mentors, some what you might call formal mentors, some are just people I know that were mentoring, and I found that the feedback that the mentors would give me, the positive and the negative, or maybe their strengths and weaknesses, was very good, because it allowed me to make some decisions it was time to do various jobs. It was time to move and do other things until I decided, well, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. But having that mentor was a plus. So for myself, I find, I try to do the same thing now. I mentor quite a few people, and I think it's very important is to give people that feedback about them. And the feedback that I received over the years in my career was very beneficial. Not saying that I listen all but it was very much a positive, and I do not think that I would be where I am today if I had not had very good mentors. And like I said, they're there to give you not necessarily what you want to hear, but how they see where you are progressing with your career. And you get an opportunity to bounce questions off of them and ask, how does this work and how does this work? So I think it's very good and it's very important, and it's very much a part of being a leader, to have a mentor and also to learn how to mentor others.
Oh, that is wonderful. Now, since we are coming up on the close of the program, I do want to talk a little bit more about, from a STEM perspective, how can we make changes or recommendations that will enable more young ladies to pursue STEM? And I know having a mentor in that area is good, but Francesca, do you have some ideas there?
Well, I think it goes back to mentoring. I also think that it starts earlier nowadays, and so supporting programs in your public education systems or charter schools, very key. Legislation to really support the states is just so important. There's a big initiative that we tend to support in STEM programs called Hour of Code, and we go and we work with students as early as kindergarten to really help them, and you're there to inspire them. And provide a support system for them. So certainly the programs, investing in those programs and getting corporate sponsorship in those programs. And then once you get to a certain level, the affinity groups, when you're in a professional transition state, it is all about a life cycle with STEM and paying it forward. And so I think volunteering your own personal time, mentoring, and then commitment to the programs in our institutions at all levels is extremely important.
Oh, that is wonderful. Jessica, would you like to add anything?
Yes, I also think that the networking is very important.
Yes, absolutely.
The seminars, shows like this one, very important. Getting the word out, that training is very important to share this information. And that networking, one person, another, and then you learn a little more here. So the mentoring and the networking, I think, as Francesca points out, is very, very important to obtaining that STEM space.
Oh. and I would like to also recognize that Francesca corrected me on this one here, where we add not only STEM today, but there's the arts in there as well. And so I think that is very important that we not forget about them also. But I would say this, when I was in Oklahoma, that I was the president of what we call the Armed Forces Communications Electronics Association, FCA, which, Jessica, you're very familiar with.
Yes, I am.
And I had the privilege of starting a STEM scholarship for our civilians and our corporate employees, members, because we had that for the military, but we did not have the equivalent for our other members of FCA. And I wanted to do that, and I was very pleased that they voted and we got to do that. And so that was a legacy for me. And but I would say, when I grew up, I majored in chemistry, and yet I never worked a day in it. But I'm glad that, because when I joined the Air Force, they commissioned me into comm electronics because I had the math and all of that. But I'm very blessed to have started out in that career field, because I understood a lot of the what it takes to make the kinds of decisions that when leading in the technical disciplines and so forth, because I am analytical to a point. and so, but I really enjoyed my time working in that career field. And that's why I think my passion for helping others and inspiring others, especially young women, to pursue areas that will enable them to step out of their comfort zone and to do things that they are equipped to do and can do. And so ladies, before we close, is there anything else that you guys would like to say, especially maybe to a young person today considering going into STEM?
Well, I would like to say I would encourage them not to be afraid to take on the challenge, and even take the risk. There will be fear. It's okay. It's okay not to succeed, but you will eventually. So I would encourage to step out there and look at that math, science, and those fields, as well as the arts, along with to be well-rounded. I think that is very important, and so I just encourage start young. If the lower grades, high grades, if you're already in the field, keep your skills fresh.
Okay.
I would tell them, think big, start small, go very fast, have a plan. As my mom said, don't let fear stop you. It's okay to fail, because in failures you learn a lot of lessons. So we need more people in these programs and fields, and just to invest in yourself and follow people that will invest in you.
Well, ladies, I just want to thank you guys for being on the show today. I know that our audience has been blessed and inspired, and I just want to thank you again. And I want to thank you for watching Leadership Table Talk. I hope that you have learned some things from our guests, and that you will continue to apply those as you continue down your leadership journey. If you have any questions at all regarding the program, please contact me at m2gleadershipbiz.com. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.